Hey guys, you're watching Let's Talk About Prepping. I'm Tyler, your host, and in today's video, we're going to watch my first attempt at making some waxwood fire starters, and we're going to talk about the art of fire building. Now, waxwood is just one of many different kinds of fire starters that I'm sure you've seen tested out on YouTube, and I myself have tried out a few different kinds, usually out of laziness when I've used wood to heat my home. But when I was in the Boy Scouts, we were never allowed to use anything but what we found in the woods and matches or flint and steel. And I think that this is a good skill to have, to be able to start a fire reliably, quickly, and efficiently without using a lot of fire starting implements. And for that reason, I do plan on making quite a few videos with fire starting as the background to even completely different subjects, because repetition really does help. And whether you're thinking that you might end up in a wilderness survival situation where you want to build a fire quickly and efficiently and know that you will be confident in being able to do so, or whether you might end up living in a homestead fashion where you're using wood heat and you don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time starting your fires each morning if you're not able to bank your coals and avoid the need to start a fire each morning. Either way, it's a very handy skill to be confident in your fire building technique. And so that's something that I think everybody should pay attention to. Now, once you have your technique down, it's very handy to have some fire starters. These are things which you can use to get your fire started faster, better, and stronger. These complement your technique and don't replace your technique. The techniques that you use to get a fire started without the aids are simply bolstered by the addition of accelerants and various other things which keep your original flame going long enough to maybe dry out some wet wood or catch some other kindling going. So waxwood is very good for that because very quick, cheap, and efficient. I'm just using some scraps of wood that I had sitting around and some wax that I've had for at least a year. Now, I do store wax in blocks, but I'm not going to be using that today because it stores very well. It's very cheap and it's a very good thing to have around. I've had my Gulf wax for maybe a decade at least, and guess what? It doesn't go bad. But the wax that I'm using today is actually some candles that came into a store broken. The glass around them was broken and they went right into the dumpster. I simply grabbed them out of the dumpster, broke the glass off the rest of the way, rinsed them, and they've been sitting in stores this whole time. So just a few candles in there. I salvaged the wicks and everything, so if I do end up making candles, I'll have those sitting around with the rest of the candles. I can conglomerate them into one large mega candle, and that will conserve some wax, put a few wicks together, and I'll be able to use the rest of the wax in things like this. So as you can see, I've got all of those chunks sitting in there, and you can't really tell in the camera here, but there's a lot of teeny little bubbles coming up as the boiling wax replaces all of the air and moisture in these chunks of wood. Now, if I were to put weight on top of this and submerge them all and get them all boiling, maybe do it on an open flame rather than this double boiler that I'm doing for safety's sake, I would probably be able to completely permeate this wood with the wax, and that would make it a lot better. As it is, I'm not going to spend too much time with this first experiment today. I'm just going to get them dipped in there and soaked pretty well before I just drain all the wax out. If I wanted to do this in a sheet pan, then I could leave the chunks in the wax to completely solidify with the wax soaked inside the porous fibers of the wood, and that would give me a lot more wax in there to help start the fires. But as it is, I just want to try it out with this. It's going to be a little bit lighter this way, and I'm going to be doing this quite a bit, I think. I want to try out some different formulas, some different techniques, and see what works best. Anyways, this looks pretty good for the first attempt today. I haven't actually tried to light anything with them because I just finished this in time to go to work. But it looks pretty interesting. They turned out pretty well, and I'm pretty interested how well they'll help me start a fire and how they'll integrate into my future fire starting rocket stove idea. Anyways, I hope this was interesting. I hope you'll stay tuned for more fire starting and various other types of videos from Let's Talk About Prepping. Stay safe out there, everyone.